Well, now our top story. Here is a live look at the price of crude oil this morning. Crude prices soared on news of Israel's surprise attacks on Iran last week, in which Israel damaged key Iranian nuclear facilities and killed numerous of the country's leading military leaders and scientists. Energy experts, however, say the flow of crude oil out of the region has thus far remained unaffected, but the potential for disruptions is very real. Let's talk about all of this with our featured guest of the morning. He's Jeff Hall, Senior Financial Advisor at Manulife Wealth. Jeff, first of all, thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
I know you watch, and our guests know that you watch geopolitical events very, very closely. What is your take on what's unfolding in Iran right now?
Well, it's something that was inevitable, and it was also inevitable. I didn't need contacts from NATO to contact me, let me know this was going to happen. As soon as the Trump administration started warning everybody and pulling out unnecessary diplomats and personnel out of the region within a striking distance of Iran, it was obvious what was going to happen. But frankly, it was needed. You have a region there in Iran that's the largest global state sponsor of terror in the world. And this is going to disrupt a lot of things, though, in how the globe interacts. We're concerned about the price of oil. Even the strike alone, this will affect the Ukraine-Russia war indirectly, because Ukraine is the #1 builder of drones for Russia, as an example. Now they're distracted on other things. Russia won't get their drones from Iran, so that even affects that war that seems to be non-related on the surface.
What's your sense on how much of a setback the Iranian effort to build a nuclear bomb has taken?
It's significant. They're getting really close. But a lot of their tactics were just stalling over the years, because it's very simple with nuclear materials. You go to the left if it's for civilian use. You start to heavy or rich to the right if it's weapons use. You can't use that for civilian use. They're two totally different things. And so it was basically getting to the line, and no one was going to allow Iran in the region to have a weapon, because they were a very big disruptor, even in the Strait of Hormuz and other areas all throughout that whole region. They've been an agitator for decades, so this is part of what everyone's trying to clean up.
What do you see ahead for the price of crude oil? I know you're not a big investor in this sector. I think you don't like the unpredictability of commodity prices. This is one reason that you tend to downplay this sector, if not avoid it completely on behalf of your clients. But there is the reaction in crude. We see a very sharp rally towards the very right end of that graph line. However, notable today that we're seeing a meaningful contraction in the price of crude oil. As we've noted, the flow of crude oil out of the region thus far has remained unaffected. What do you see ahead for crude oil?
Well, so long as Israel doesn't start striking a lot of the refineries and things in Iran, it's still, I believe, oil prices will go up, and that's going to impact a big driving season this summer, as an example. And if Joe Public has to pay 20% more to fuel their car or truck, that's 20% money that's out of their wallet or purse that's not going to go take the family to a movie or to a dinner or on a holiday. So it does have a processional effect or domino effect across a number of different industries that are non-related to oil. So that's my concern. This isn't going to have the price of oil drop, as an example. It's definitely going to cause some pressures. But let's see how the world absorbs it, as an example.
How real is the prospect for increased U.S. inflation?
Trump right now, I'm sure, is not a happy puppy. His whole goal, and you got to remember, a lot of what Trump's trying to enact right now is to influence a lot of things he wants for his pro-business agenda. He's doing a lot of these heavy tariffs and that to do all his flexing and heavy lifting early. Because as we enter 2026, they're back into the midterm elections. So we need a lot of this stuff to be humming along smooth. So we need a lot of this worry of inflation spiking up. So for him, this is a bit of a setback, because oil is a big component in that inflationary situation.
What will you be watching in the conflict itself to gain a sense of how lengthy and protracted this will be?
The interesting thing that's looking to play out potentially is, will the Ayatollahs be removed, the mullahs be removed, and who would follow into that power vacuum? Will the Iranian citizens themselves step up and try to push back on the government like they did a few years ago, but then got very suppressed back down?
Right.
So that'll change some things. But the strange thing, in talking to my NATO contacts, that there is obviously someone like the IRGC would take over the main military component of Iran. But there's some weird stuff going on there that people don't realize. There's a lot of, I almost call them like the mafia of Iran. That military division owns 20% of the largest auto manufacturer in Iran. That's as if imagine if the Marines in the United States own 20% of General Motors.
Right, yeah.
So even for them, they don't want infrastructure hitting that. So it's a very interesting dynamic playing out moving forward.
It's very, very difficult to predict, I know, but how real do you think the possibility is of regime change in Iran?
It's never been more likely than it is now, because this will give a lot of the Iranian people that want to step up a chance. But at the same time, they're not going to probably take out the top ayatollahs with a missile strike, because then it becomes a religious war. So it's a really fine line in this escalation ladder that they're working with. So everybody's got to be very careful. That's why Israel's done a lot of pinpoint strikes, mainly focused on military targets, nuclear sites, as an example, where in the inverse is Iran's just lobbing missiles and such right into Israel, hoping to hit anything, as an example. It's not a good scene. Nobody wins at war. It's all around. It's just bad for everybody.